to fashion what we believe is the most comprehensive solution for this vexing problem. We have been engaged in this issue, many of us, for years and years. I've been working on this issue since I was in the federal government many, many years ago. But this recent acts of gun violence, I think, has brought this situation to the forefront, deservedly so, and I think there is no time like the present to act. This is a proposal that seeks to limit gun violence that has nothing to do with hunters and sportsmen and people who are legal gun owners and use their guns appropriately. As I said many times before, I'm a gun owner. I have a Remington shotgun. I've hunted. I've gone skeet shooting. So that's not what this is about. It's about coming up with a comprehensive system that addresses the questions and issues posed by mentally ill people who have access to guns. It addresses the issue of high-capacity magazines. It addresses the issue of assault weapons. And it addresses some of the criminal penalties, increasing criminal penalties. It addresses protecting our first responders. So I believe it's the most comprehensive package in the nation. To give you a quick rundown of what's in the proposal, which is going to be printed as into a bill and circulated tonight. It is called New York Safe. Mental health professionals will be required to report dangerous patients, people who the mental health professional believes are a danger to themselves or others. The mental health professional will report them to the county mental health officer, who will then communicate with law enforcement. A database will be checked, and if a mentally ill person has a gun in their home, is a registered gun owner, it will be grounds for removing the gun from that home or from the possession of a person who we believe is a threat to themselves or others. Again, much of this is common sense. Unfortunately, common sense has eluded us for many, many years when it comes to this issue. We'll have a statewide recertification of all handguns and grandfathered assault weapons with registrations a minimum of every 5 years. Right now, counties register handguns, and there's a hodgepodge across the state of how often they are renewed. Sometimes they're never renewed, which means you can get a handgun permit when you're 18 years old, and you can have it for the rest of your life, whatever happens. Some of the counties keep electronic records, some literally keep them on index cards. So this would be a statewide database which we can then check against with the mental health information. Putting together the mental health check system requires you put together a database to check against, obviously. Universal background checks on all gun purchases to close the private sales loophole. Right now, if a person goes into a dealer, there's a background check, a NICS check, but there isn't on a private sale. This would close that loophole. There'll be instant real-time state background checks at the time of ammunition purchases and a tracking of high-volume purchases of ammunition. So if there's a high-volume purchase of ammunition, it will alert law enforcement, who can inquire as to why a person is buying that larger quantity of ammunition. Complete ban on all pre-1994 high-capacity magazines. Ban on magazines that can hold over 7 rounds. Many of the other jurisdictions past have been talking about 10 rounds. This, we believe, would be the most aggressive limit in the country at 7. An immediate ban of assault weapons with 1 military-style feature. The old law said 2 military-style features. Current owners of assault weapons must register those weapons. The way you register a handgun, they would have to register the assault weapon. Required safe storage in households where convicted criminals or persons who have been involuntarily committed reside. What we call the Webster provision, making the murder of a first responder a felony, punishable with life imprisonment. increased penalty to a felony for possession of a firearm on school grounds, tougher criminal penalties for illegal guns, and extension and the improvement of the Kendra's law. That's an outline of the proposals. I want to thank the team who's been working on them tirelessly for a very long time. These are very complicated laws. It's a Byzantine structure, and to come up with a comprehensive program that makes sense is quite a feat. And I'm very proud of the work product that has been done. And I want to thank Liz Glazer and Mylan Dennerstein, and of course the Secretary. I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor, whose advice is always helpful to me. But in the area of public safety and law enforcement, there is no one better. So I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for his help and advice on this. Questions?
I'm sorry, how many weapons do you think this will make illegal? Do we have any idea?
How many assault weapons will it ban?
Right. And in terms of how many in the state do we know of?
Yeah, I don't know how many assault weapons are currently in the state. I've heard estimates in the million range, Ken. I don't know if Liz or anyone has heard any better information. But I've heard that secondhand. We don't know. You know, one of the points here is we just don't know. There is no database, there is no registry. So we don't know. It would ban all magazines of 10, and it would make magazines going forward only hold 7, obviously.
The effective date would be immediate? Would the effective date be immediate? I have a follow-up to that, if I may.
The effective date on the ban would be immediate, Casey, yes.
And is the message of necessity that I assume you're going to give to the legislature, is that to take advantage of the deal being on the table now, or is it to prevent a sort of run on gun retailers to have these weapons grandfathered?
Well, both, Casey. The ban on assault weapons would be immediate. It wouldn't make a heck of a lot of sense to announce a ban 3 days later and just generate, hundreds and hundreds of sales of assault weapons in the state when we're trying to ban those sales of assault weapons. It's also a message of necessity. I've said before, they shouldn't be overused, they shouldn't be abused. But if there is an issue that fits the definition of necessity in the state of New York today, I believe it's reducing gun violence.
Governor, what's the status of the talks with the legislature? Are you done negotiating, and do you expect to vote this evening on the measure?
I expect we are done negotiating, to the extent you're ever really done negotiating in this building, Nick. But we've been working with the legislature. We are not negotiating. We finished negotiating. We have sent this proposal to be drafted as a bill. The bill will be circulated. I expect the houses to vote on it. I would like to see it pass, but until people vote, you don't know what they're going to do, so I'll leave it to them.
Governor, was the hope to get this done within the 30 days, in this case under 30 days, then you count shooting?
And there was no timeline on it, Zach. I've worked on this issue for many, many years. As I said, I worked on this issue when I was back at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This government society has never really addressed this properly, in my opinion. I think after what happened in Connecticut and what happened here at home in Webster, this issue jumped to the forefront. I think the people of the state correctly said they want something done, and they want something done now. And look, if government's job is to respond to people's needs at the time, and the people of this state now are crying out for help on the issue of gun violence, and I think this does that, and I think government should respond at the time. I mean, we all know we don't need another tragedy to point out the problems in the system, right? We understand them. Enough people have lost their lives. Let's act, and let's take corrective measures, and this is one of them, I believe.
Governor,
I don't know. Are you announcing an agreed-upon package, and why are the legislative leaders here to announce it?
Because I'm announcing the details of a proposal that will be printed in a bill. The bill will be sent to the Senate and the Assembly, and they will vote on that bill.
Forgive me if I missed this in the presentation, but does your bill deal with the issue of pistol permit information being available through FOIL?
You did not see it in the presentation. Is it specifically addressed in the bill? Do any of my beleaguered friends remember FOIL on pistol permits?
Yeah, the new statewide database that's going to be created, so we can run the checks against it to make sure that people who are convicted felons or been involuntary committed, that won't be subject to FOIL. That'll be used solely and primarily by law enforcement. So that data will not be available by FOIL. And also individuals in the county, if they want to go back and check off on their application form that they don't want this information public because they worry about their health and safety, and they're concerned, like someone who may be a victim of domestic violence, have an order of protection, that privacy will be protected by the local FOIL officer.
So, as a follow-up to that, would the county-wide information still be available on a county-by-county basis? And would the privacy protection automatically be granted if they check off the boxes?
If people don't check off the boxes, it'll be subject to FOIL. If they check off the box and the FOIL officer of that county deems that they're at risk by releasing that information, then it won't be released.
But detailed fact sheet coming out right after the press conference. One more.
Governor, again, forgive me if I missed it in the presentation. The gun, like you say, that you own, does this bill address that? If you want to sell it, do you have to have a background check for the person you sell it to?
This is not about hunters. It's not about sportsmen. That's not what this is about. It's not about people who use a shotgun to hunt. This is about assault weapons. It's about high-capacity magazines. And that's what the bill addresses.
I don't know if you understand this, I apologize. If I want to sell the gun that you currently, for example, the one that you currently own, if you want to sell it to somebody, does the person you're selling it to have to go through a background check?
Yes.
A purchaser would have to basically get a NICS check done. They can go to a gun dealer can, or a gun store, anyone who runs a NICS check, pay about $10, get a certification that they passed the NICS check, and then take it to anyone who's selling a gun, saying, I passed the NICS check, here's my certification, I'm interested in your gun. But before, the quote-unquote loophole, which was a really large loophole, was the background check was only done if you bought the gun through the dealer. So if you couldn't pass a background check, you bought a gun privately. Or you could buy a gun privately and just circumvent the entire background check. This stops that circumvention and says, if you want to buy a gun, you can, but you can't get around the NICS check. So you'd have to have a NICS check even if you buy it privately.
Do you expect?
1994 guns, could you please go over that again, and how those are going to be treated under this proposal?
Pre-1994 assault weapons would be registered. Is that correct?
Yes.
Could they say, I own one, could I sell that to someone, or resell it?
You can sell it out of state.
Not
No in-state sales. You can register it, you can own it, you cannot sell it to someone else in-state. You can sell it out of state.
What's the penalty if you don't register it? Is there a window that you have to register?
It's Class A.
Governor, you said this was your number one priority in this session?
It's the first day of the session. Yes, I think I'm now done. I've completed everything that I wanted to complete. So we're going to take the rest of the session off. I think this would be, Ken, this is one of the, I believe, greatest problems facing the state. I believe if this proposal is enacted, it's one of the, if not the most comprehensive response to this crisis and the different dimensions of it, because it's not just about guns, it is about the mental health system, et cetera. And I think it'll go a large way towards making a difference. Will it solve all of the problems in this area? No, but it'll make a significant difference. And I think New Yorkers can feel that their government is responsive and this state is a safer state if this becomes a reality. Unfortunately, there are many, many other issues that we have to work on, so there's a lot of other work to do.
Do you expect expect to vote tonight, and what was the holdup throughout the day? Obviously, it looked like there might be a deal earlier, and then it just kept going and going.
Well, it's been going and going for weeks, Ken. This is a complex and controversial area. I mean, politically, this is a controversial area. I don't know how else to say it. You've had a small taste of it. You know, it's controversial nationwide. It's controversial here in the state. And it is highly technical. So to come up with the right program and meet a multifaceted program was not easy. So we've been working on it for weeks. Obviously, when the legislature came to town, that's when other people really started to focus. And there was no set timeline. I mean, we're literally day one. I think this bill may be Assembly 1, believe it or not. So it's a very aggressive issue to take up right out of the box, you know. And I applaud the legislature for that. They're not starting slow here, right? They're not working their way back into the session. This is one of the most vexing problems society is dealing with. So I applaud them for taking it up.
Do you expect to vote tonight?
Whenever they want to vote, Ken, I understood, I heard the Senate was coming back in. The bill is up. It's up to them now. We did the best we could on the proposal. We've had a number of conversations.
Well, clearly time is of the essence, because if they don't vote tonight, that's going to create the kind of run on the retailers you're talking about.
That became inevitable when the bill went into print. As soon as the bill went into print, people will now be notified that, well, they know the state is considering a ban. Yeah, is that enough to start a run, quote unquote? I don't know. I know the number of purchases has been way up in the past days and weeks anticipating this. Now that they see the bill, could that increase? That is certainly a possibility. So I would hope for expeditious action, but that's up to the Assembly and the Senate.
Well, that one that you're talking about, do you believe those would be by lawful gun owners that want to buy them?
Say again?
The one that you're talking about, people running out now getting guns because of this bill.
They can buy it lawfully until this law gets passed. They can buy it
Do you
lawfully.
think the lawful gun owners are the ones running out to buy them?
I don't know. Whoever would go out to buy the gun.
Last one. Governor, what do you think of the NRA declaring that you're the most anti-gun governor in the United States?
You know, I don't know what that means, so I don't have any comment, and they can call me whatever they choose to call me. I would suggest that they look at the bill and look at the proposal before they judge it. Mr. Hammond, you had a question?
You're giving them a message of necessity, I take it?
I'm giving them a message of necessity.
So would you urge them to act tonight, or?
Well, it's the point that Casey raised, Bill. We have now put people on notice that I am seeking a ban of assault weapons now, and seeking a ban of magazines over 7 now. So to the extent that might actually accelerate people going out and trying to acquire the guns before the ban, that is something we would want to avoid. It would obviously be the exact opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here. So time is of the essence.
Governor, if this is passed tonight, tomorrow, in the near future, it would most likely mean New York would be the first state in the country to deal with this since Newtown, since Webster, and even before the federal government. What sort of message or statement do you think that sends to the rest of the country?
I think, Nick, I would be very proud as a New Yorker if that was the case. I would be proud as a New Yorker associated with the government of the state of New York, because that is what you're supposed to do when you're in government. That is what the governor is supposed to be doing, and the lieutenant governor is supposed to be doing, and the secretary is supposed to be doing, and the assembly people and the senators help make this state a better state, help the people solve their problems. This is a scourge on society. People have had to live through these tragedies, tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. And people are sitting there saying, you know, at what point do we get it? At what point do you say enough? We understand. No one else has to die. No more innocent loss of life. And why doesn't someone do something? And why doesn't the government do something? I mean, it's really not that complicated, right? These are common sense measures. People who have mental health issues shouldn't have guns. They could hurt themselves, they could hurt other people. Why do the risk posed by a high-capacity magazine that if the wrong person gets it, the number of people you can kill in a short period of time before a law enforcement officer even has a chance to grab you, why would you run that risk of the high-capacity magazine if you didn't have to? And you knew you could potentially save lives. So, look, as I said, I've been working on this a long, long time. I wish I could have said to the people of the state of New York earlier than this, we actually did something that we believe can make a difference. I'm sorry we needed to go through these tragedies for society to finally come up with a response. But if we got this done, I would be very, very proud. I'm proud that we're trying, frankly. But as I like to say, effort is one thing. I'm proud of the effort. I'd be even more proud if we got it done.
Critics have said that the gun control measures of the package won't do anything to stop violence, and it's more about raising your national profile. They say that it's more of a federal issue, and that, you know, that the real crimes are done with illegal handguns, not semi-automatic rifles.
Yeah, well, people say a lot of things, Ken. Keeping the mental health system is unprecedented for this state. That is outlined here. It is common sense. It sets up an entire infrastructure that has never existed before. Expanding Kendra's law is intelligent and right and should have been done before. Life without parole for people who kill a first responder, the Webster provision, great, great. That's the way it should be. Your first responders who put their life on the line and they're going to become targets, no. And that's the Webster provision. So it is comprehensive, they're sound, it addresses the multifaceted problem that we're dealing with. It protects, I believe, hunters and sportsmen, et cetera, and legitimate gun owners, part of the database, not being subject to FOIL. We're not looking to demonize gun owners. Again, I'm a gun owner. We're not looking to demonize gun owners. Gun owners have done nothing wrong. It's the Second Amendment. People enjoy it. People enjoy guns. They enjoy hunting. Great. That's not what this is about. And as I said, it's long overdue. And we'll now see what the Assembly and the Senate does. I'm hopeful, but they have to vote. It's not done until it's done. So we'll see.
Governor, you mentioned hunters and sportsmen, I think target shooters before. Do you think that it's a right for people to have guns just for self-protection, or is that a concern too?
I think, you have a right to have a gun, Mike, if you want to hang it on your wall, That's part of it being a right. So it's up to you what you do with it.
Governor, there were some workers from Remington up here today protesting the potential gun package, saying it might cost them jobs. What's your view on that? Do you think this would have any impact on a factory that the state has supported?
I don't know Remington's business well enough to know how many assault weapons they've been making, what percent of their business that is, and what percent assault weapon sales in New York are. My guess is New York is not going to be the only state to act. Other states will act. My guess is there'll be some federal action one way or the other on this topic. So I think if the companies are worried about future sales of assault weapons, they're going to have to worry about a lot of other things besides the state of New York and the state of New York's market.
Governor, do you have an assurance from the Republicans in the Senate that this will come to the floor for vote?
Nope. Thank you very much.